ahead and see.
Music City.
No, don't cheat, don't cheat. Master of ceremonies. Come on, y'all. All right, that's what I'm going to be the next hour and a half. But most important person on the trolley is that lady in the green shirt right here. That's Carrie. Everybody say really loud. Let's get her attention. Hey, Carrie. Hey. Looks like Crocodile Dundee in that hat, but she knows how to drive all around this city. She knows where to go, where not to go. Yeah, that's not a night. She knows where not to go. National traffic is stupid horrible because they just shut down streets as they start getting too busy. That's true. But my name is Music City Matt. They call me that for a different reason because just like everybody you probably met, I came here for music about 20 years ago to record my first album. Fell in love with this city. Decided to move here about 6 months later. Over the last 20 years, I've actually recorded 20 albums. Traveled and toured with a lot of people you know, like Carrie Underwood, Josh Turner, the Oak Ridge Boys, Larry Gatlin, Carmen, Gaither Homecoming, lots of people like that. For 4.5 years, I ran BMG record label in Old Town. 2011, I was inducted in the Christian Music Hall of Fame, and in 2017, I was nominated for my very first Grammy Award. How about that? Yeah, so about 4 months ago, I came off the road. I was supposed to be on the farewell judge for this year, but things changed. So I get to do fun stuff like this and nice, show you guys around my favorite city. During the day, I actually raise horses. That's what I get to do, so it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to take you guys, show you around, but before we take off, Carrie, you might turn up my mic a little bit. It's pretty soft tonight. I do. So I got to know, who's having a birthday? I already know one back there in the back. Anybody else having a birthday right here? I got a gift for you. Carrie, you got some gifts. You're good. That's fine. All right, right here, and then also back here in the back.
So there's some in the back.
Yeah, go ahead and bring that back.
I wasn't looking, so y'all have to raise your hand.
Yeah, raise your hand if you have a birthday.
Happy birthday.
What's that? No, we'll see. Hold on. Anniversaries.
We got you. Who else?
Anniversaries. I'm studying this thing somewhere.
Thank you.
There we go. Anybody here a UN or military veteran? Yeah, right here, right here. We got a bunch. Don't hold on, sorry, don't. Yeah, keep your hands up. Here we got some up here. Yep, two right here.
My bad, I didn't see you at first.
Any first responders? Okay, awesome. Right here, yeah, first responders right here. Yep. Hey, now we've also got another veteran. Give Carrie a hand. She's a veteran of the Girl Scouts, Troop 31. Now, real quick, now we got a special guest here. I'm going to call him out. Mikhail, raise your hand. We've got a very famous person right here, entertainer on Princess Cruise Ships for more than a decade, and a fantastic comedian back here, Mikhail Washington.
Yeah!
Yes.
This is a princess guy, too.
We don't call him princess.
Well,
That's
sometimes we do.
Yes. Are you good, Bert? All right. Hey, we're getting ready to head out. Now, this is a Soul of Music City tour. What is a soul? You might turn it up a little bit now. Thank you, Carrie. So what's a soul? Anybody know what a soul is? Heart, passion of a person, place, or thing. So what would Nashville's soul be? Music, not drinking. Really close. Really getting, I think, pretty soon. But not just country music. Rhythm and blues, funk, bluegrass, gospel, Christian, reggae, hip-hop. You name it. We've got everything going on here in town. And I'm going to show you a little bit of all of it because we've got an incredible music scene, as you would imagine. So you guys ready? Let's take Carrie. Say, let's go, Carrie. Let's go, Carrie. All right, the first place I'm going to show you guys, biggest building in town. You probably would drove right under it. That big giant building behind me is the Music City Center. 1.2 million square feet of indoor space. It's massive. Now, who's ever heard the CMA Fest? Everybody, right? CMA Fest, country music's biggest event. That was about 3 weeks ago, about a month ago. It's over our entire city. And if you were here, you can see the pictures. Inside there is where we hold the Fan Fest. That's where you get to meet all your favorite artists, get their autograph, take your picture. They do it right up close. Now, we had one artist a few years ago set a record in here. They signed autographs 24 hours straight, never took a break. That's crazy. Guess who it was? I heard it. No. Garth Brooks. Yeah, Garth loves his fans. And if you had a helicopter like Garth, I don't, you're on your own, you could fly over this building. You'd see it's actually shaped like an electric body guitar. Very cool building. Now, also, it's also home to the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. So if you get a chance to go in, everybody in Nashville's in there. Garth Brooks, Dolly Parton. But I also mentioned not just country music. Ray Charles, Bob Dylan, Chris Christopherson, lots of cool artists in there. So definitely check that out. Now, we're getting ready to go downtown. This is the country music side of town. Who would you guys say would be the grandfather of country music? Made it popular. Further back, way back. Keep going, keep going. I heard it.
Elvis
Who said it? Hank Williams. See if you guys remember this. Sing it with me. You know it. You're going to know this one. I said, hey, good looking. What you got cooking? How's about cooking something up with me? Sing with me that one. Yeah, okay, now I mentioned Hank Williams. When we get up here, you're going to see the Country Music Hall of Fame. Anybody been to the Hall of Fame yet? Oh, okay, awesome. Did you guys have a good time? It's really cool. So we'll talk about that in a second. But now, if I say that's grandfather of country music, who would you guys say is the king of country music?
George Strait.
No. I heard it. George Strait. 60 #1 songs, 23 CMA awards. He is the man. Anybody here from Texas? Oh, then this one's for you. You know it already. All my exes live in Texas. And Texas is the place I belong to be. I said all my exes live in Texas. Here we go. And that's why I'll hang my hat in Tennessee. Yeah. All right, now we come out of here. Take a look. So Country Music Hall of Fame, they opened in 1961, but they built this one in 2001. Very first inductee in the Hall of Fame, Hank Williams. 2021, 60 years to the year they inducted Hank Jr. How cool is that? So it's that big building right there with the high peak sticking up. Now this building to my right, that's Bridgestone Arena, home to the greatest hockey team in the entire world. I heard that. All right, I'll be honest, hold on. Are y'all from St. Louis? I was born and raised in St. Charles, so yeah, I'm a Blues fan too. But home to the Preds. But this is also top 10 busiest music venue in America, as you can imagine. If you were here about 3 weeks ago, Thursday night, Journey. Friday, Saturday, the Eagles. Sunday, Bon Jovi. The next weekend, Billie Eilish. It's that way every weekend here. It's incredible. Now, we had an artist set a record in that building. They did 9 concerts in just 5 days. Sold out 180,000 tickets in 4 hours. Who was it? Garth Brooks. See, all right, here's the thing. If you guys are ever on Jeopardy and there's a country music quiz, just say Garth Brooks always. He's every record, right? It's kind of like, what was it in school on a multiple answer quiz? Just say C, always right. Garth Brooks. So Garth set the record in there, and here's what makes it more cool. That was for a flood relief we had in 2010 here in Nashville. Garth donated all the proceeds of that back to the city. Worked 9 concerts for free. That's pretty cool. Now coming up this street, it's called Lower Broadway. We call this Honky Tonk Highway. What's a honky tonk? Bar, yeah. Not any bar though, a fun bar. 10 a.m. to 3 in the morning, they have to have alcohol. Yeah, and music 7 days a week. It's a lot. Now on this street, we've got over 100 honky tonks on one street. Most of those, you guys probably notice, have 2 or 3 floors. Did you notice that? There's a band on every floor. So on a good Saturday night, like tonight, there'll be an average of 600 musicians playing downtown. Yeah, it's crazy. It makes it the busiest place for live music in the entire world. You probably noticed most of these clubs associated with a lot of our big stars: Alan Jackson, John Rich, Luke Bryan, Miranda Lambert, 2 doors down, Blake Shelton. That's funny. Here we are. That's funny, but we're not just country music. Jimmy Buffett's got a place, Kid Rock. Now look up here to the left. See this club says 1230? That's our brand new full-time resident who just moved here a couple years ago. Anybody know whose club that is? Justin Timberlake. That's right. That's JT's club. So ground floor is country music, top floor is pop music. Really, really cool. One of our new high-end clubs here in town. That is not one of my horses. Now, coming down here on the left, see that purple bar? That's our most famous bar, without a doubt, in Nashville. Originally, that was called Mom's Bar and Grill, opened by a fun lady named Hattie Louise. she was awesome. She would let songwriters trade their royalty checks for beer. I mean, what a great lady. Now, one day she left that bar. She told a friend, she said, I need you to paint it, but do it as cheap as you can. Don't ever tell a contractor, as cheap as you can. He took all of his leftover paint, mixed them together, guess what color he got? Purple, right? Is that a good honky tonk color for a bar in the 60s? Not really. But she fell in love with it, renamed it into Tootsie's Orchid Lounge. Now, who's ever heard of that guy, Willie Nelson? Remember that song he wrote, Crazy, for Patsy Cline? He wrote that sitting in that bar right there. Now, in true Willie Nelson form, he also sold the rights to that song for $50 to cover his hard tax. Oh, Willie, a lot of good decisions. Now, look at the left. We'll talk about this in a minute more. Brand new museum right here on the left. You'll see the front entrance. National Museum of African American Music. We just got this last year. 50 genres of music, fully interactive. And as you're walking through, my favorite thing is that they give you a wristband. Do you guys get there yet? It's amazing. Oh, they got the wristband. You scan all these different stations, and when you leave, they download all that music to you for free. It is awesome. And my favorite thing, you guys do the wheel of influence. You see that? You pick an artist you love, say Michael Jackson. You can see all the artists that influenced him, and then all the artists that have been influenced by him. Very, very cool. Like Justin Timberlake. Very cool. Now we're going to make this left, and I'm going to show you the most important building on Nashville down here on Lower Broadway. Well, let's do another country song since we're down here in country. See if you guys reckon this. I'm going to give a prize out if you know the country. Eric. Give me just one more last thing before you say we're through. I know it drives you crazy, baby. It's the best that I can do. I'm just a good old boy, so making noise, ain't running around on you. Give me just one more last thing before you say we're through. Yeah, he said it, Ben Still. Yeah, very good, very good. Good job. Okay, now the most important building right here on the right, Ryman Auditorium. Now originally, that beautiful building was built to be a church, 1892, and it's still used up for a lot of events. Most important, it hosted the Grand Ole Opry for 40 years right there. A lot of big singers there, Hank Williams, Patsy Cline. Elvis sang there. But probably most famous, Johnny Cash. Met June Carter backstage, very first time, 1956. He saw her cross the room, walked over, said, "You are the prettiest thing I've ever seen. I'm gonna marry you someday." Isn't that romantic? She thought so. Her husband did not. Neither did his wife. But they did get married later. And Johnny came back, 1969, brought his TV show, Johnny Cash Show here. A lot of big guests, Bob Dylan, Neil Young, Ray Charles, B.B. King, lots of cool people. Now, I was talking about the new museum, National Museum of African American Music. It's hard to see it on this side, so I put together this little video for you guys so you can see what's in there, but more importantly, who's in there. So how many got an instrument? Okay, I better hear you because this is the good stuff right here. Come on, here we go. If you know it. Come on, baby. still got the tape.
Hallelujah. Girl says hallelujah. Girl says hallelujah. Cause that's that mama girl. You love your mama girl. You love your mama girl. Don't believe me, that's why.
Enormous, instantaneous.
On the right, you're going to see a huge building, looks like an igloo. That's the Municipal Auditorium. You'll see it here in about 2 blocks. But before it was the Municipal, it was this beautiful theater right here on the screen. That's called the Bijou Theater. Now, who's ever heard of the Apollo Theater? Everybody. This was a sister theater, same circuit. All of our legends played there, like Count Basie, Bessie Smith, all the greats. But we had our own Nashville guy, a local guy right here in town, named Bobby Hebb. Anybody heard of Bobby Hebb? Yeah. You may not know the name, but you know this song. Bobby Ray, he actually played 10 years with a country band called Roy Acuff and the Smoky Mountain Boys. But most famously, he wrote this next song. You guys are going to know this one. Most of you will. Saying, thank you for the sunshine you gave, sunny. Thank you for the love you brought my way. You gave to me your only home, and now I feel 10 feet tall. Sunny, one so true, I love you. Okay, so when they tore that building down, they built the Municipal Auditorium. It's where all of our mega big concerts have been held. Elvis Presley, the Rolling Stones, Grateful Dead, Kiss, U2, Jackson 5, Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston. Everybody has performed at Municipal. It's incredible, but we love it for a different reason. So inside the bottom of it is a thing called the Musicians Hall of Fame. Anybody been there yet? Okay, hands down, best museum in all of Nashville. So a lot of people don't remember this or don't even know this. Back when artists would start coming to Nashville in the 50s, they would record on the old reel-to-reel. Remember that? The old acetate, you've seen those? Okay, well, when they did that, everybody had to start at the same time. Singers, backup, band, everybody. And you ended at the same time. If anybody messed up, you got to go back and do it all over again. George Jones took 83 takes to get a song White Lightning done. That's a lot. Normally, it's the band. They goof up. Somebody plays a wrong note. They don't like it. Now, studios and record labels love music, but what do they love more than music? Money. All those takes is expensive. So they started saying, hey, leave those bands at home. Just bring the singer. We don't need your musicians. It's Nashville. We've got the greatest musicians in all the world, hands down, right here. So they would just come to town and use our band. Our guys here in town became known as the National Cats. Session players, they could hear a song one time. Very next time, play it perfect. They were so good. Who's ever heard of Motown? Yeah, they had a band called the Funk Brothers. Down at Muscle Shoals, they had the Swampers. LA had the Wrecking Crew. 50s, 60s, and 70s. Those 4 groups of musicians recorded 90% of the single songs on the radio you know. Incredible, but you don't know their names. So here's the Municipal right here. That Musicians Hall of Fame honors all those great musicians. Plus people like Chuck Berry, Bob Dylan, Jimi Hendrix, Johnny Cash, Elvis, people that were great musicians and great singers. So definitely check that museum out. It's absolutely incredible. We're going to go down the front of it so you can see the entrance. Now I mentioned the Funk Brothers. Who remembers a show called Name That Tune? Anybody remember that TV show? Okay, I'm going to play a song, 6 notes. You're going to know it. Actually, it's 3 notes twice. You're going to know it. You're going to want to sing it with me. That's my man. Here we go. Who sang it? Temptations. But the Funk Brothers played I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. Everybody knows this part. Here we go. I guess you say what can make me feel this way. My girl, talking about my girl. Oh, very nice. Okay, now who knows what seat dancing is? Seat dancing. Hey, this guy invented seat dancing. Here's seat dancing. That's seat dancing. It's good to me. All right, here we go, ladies. Hey, while we're right here, that news channel station right there, that's where Oprah Winfrey got her start. In fact, she's in town today. You know that? Yeah, her father passed away. She's in town for the funeral. Yep. Watching the time roll away, sitting on the dock of the bay. All right, ladies, here you go. One more. Show me your moves. Who is it? Jimi Hendrix. Who remembers Jimi Hendrix? Okay, someone told me the other night, if you remember Jimi Hendrix, you did not experience Jimi Hendrix. You know, some of you get that. Okay, now we were up there in Old Town with the Funk Brothers. Now we got to go down to Muscle Shoals with the Swampers. You're going to know this one immediately. Sweet home Alabama. Here we go. Well, the sky's on salute. Sweet home Alabama. Lord, I'm coming home to you. Okay, so all those songs I was playing a minute ago, there's something all have in common. So we're coming into an area part of town we call Jefferson Street. Originally, this was a footpath, eventually became a wagon trail, eventually that became Jefferson Street. Now, this was home to our very first university, all the way back 1866, Fisk University. Now, Fisk University, what made them incredibly special, all the way back 1866, they welcomed students of all race, all genders. Incredible. Now, what's really cool right there is the Pride of Fisk Jubilee Singers. They're an incredible spiritual group. Now, in 1871, they sent them all over the world raising money for the school. They actually sang for Queen Victoria over in England. She heard them. She said, "You're so amazing. You must come from a Music City." That's where that started all the way back then. But 40s, 50s, 60s, this area we're going through here, had places like Brown's Dinner Club, Club Baron, Club Maceo, the legendary Club Del Morocco. All of those clubs, this was a hotspot for the blues movement in the South, the 50s, 60s. Mainly on this weekend, you talk about a good weekend in Bridgestone. Down here, you can see Aretha Franklin, James Brown, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Temptations, Cab Calloway, Ike Tina Turner. Every weekend was amazing down here. We even had a guy named Billy Cox. He still lives here. He was a paratrooper up in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, got out of the military, moved here with a friend of his to start a band. Now, he said my friend was not a good guitar player, average, but we got a job as the house band at the Club Del Morocco. But if you're playing in a house band down here, you got Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Ike Tina Turner, you better get good really quick or you're not going to have a place to play. So his friend started taking lessons from a band called the Isley Brothers. Remember them? He got really good really quick. He lived right over here 3 years above a grocery store, but this is where he got his start. That guitar player was Jimi Hendrix. That's right. You go to a club on a Friday night. Now, here's what's really cool. For 6 months, Jimi Hendrix played backup guitar for Little Richard. Can you imagine going to a club on a Friday night, seeing Little Richard and Jimi Hendrix together? That would be amazing. But Little Richard actually fired Jimi Hendrix from his band. Go back and watch the video. You can see it on YouTube. Jimmy's wearing a three-piece suit, tie. He's miserable. He hates it. But every time he tries to get down, Little Richard looks at him like he's going to punch him. Because what did Little Richard say when he fired him? You're showing me up. You're too good. You got to go. Couldn't have two of us on the same stage. I'm glad he did, because we got Jimi Hendrix, right? That's a good thing. So all works out in the end. Now look to your right, that big, huge museum right there, that's our Tennessee State History Museum. That covers all of our history, prehistoric days, all the way up to today. Now our two favorite things about that, and Carrie, what's the first thing?
Free.
Free. Free museum is always good. But the second thing, how many of y'all are not from the South? Okay. It gets like 173 degrees later this month. It is ridiculously hot. That is an air-conditioned building, and we love that. So anything that's air-conditioned, we're going to hang out there. So definitely check it out. Really cool. Now we're going to come up here. We're still in Jefferson Street Sound, but we're getting ready to go into Bicentennial State Park. You probably saw, anybody see the Capitol building on the hill we drove by? We're going to come into a really cool view of it and let you guys get a picture. So now we were up in Motown, went down to Russell Hill. Now we go to the West Coast. See if you guys know this one. Sweet! Here we go! Good time to never feel. Let me hear you. So good! Feeling fine. To believe they never would. They would. I made that up. I'm just kidding. That's not funny. Okay, now we're going to be coming to this park. Our Capitol was actually designed by a guy named William Strickland. They consider this most amazing piece of Greek architecture, but it took about 5 years to build this. It took so long, he died while they were building it. Very sad. But he had one last request he left in his will for his son. Anybody know what that is? Yeah, he's buried there. Actually, he's not just buried there. He's buried inside the walls of our state capitol. That's creepy. You can say it. I think it's weird. But this park also holds beautiful World War II memorial, and you're going to see it as we come around. We're going to stop in front of it. Those beautiful columns on the right there. It's a 95 bell carillon. Every hour on the hour, it plays all of our favorite songs like Rocky Top, Tennessee Waltz, Love Me Tender, Crazy, Old Man River. Lots of beautiful songs. And on July 4th, all day long, they play John Philip Sousa music. Beautiful. So we're going to come around this corner, let you guys get a picture. If you want to stand up, once we stop, you're more than welcome to do that. Get a picture of the Capitol and these columns. And we'll pull up a little bit too so the people in the back can get a picture here in a second too. Isn't that beautiful? Now, anybody a baseball fan? Okay, yeah, go Cardinals, come on, they're looking good this year. All right, so, in the South, we had a professional baseball league in the 1860s called the Southern League. We have records as far back as 1864. They were playing professional baseball right there on that greenway before stadiums were around. Now, here in Tennessee and in St. Louis, over there at the park at the military installation, yeah, we have a thing called the Tennessee Association of Vintage Baseball. These guys play by 1864 rules, 1864 uniforms, 1864 equipment, which means no gloves, barehanded, wood bat, hardball, baseball. Now, when they play out here, they play on the summertime on Sundays. They'll be there tomorrow. They play out there. They bring an 1864 band with them, too. Play original period music. You can see what our citizens were doing. And I love to say it this way. In this park, you can see all of our citizens. Because a lot of people don't realize this. Professional baseball from 1860s to the 1890s was fully integrated. Anybody could play. They didn't segregate until about 1890 after Reconstruction. So this was a great place for our community where you would literally see everybody getting together. And I think that's incredible. We need to be reminded of things like that. Now, as we come around this park, you're going to see our favorite thing here in the park. That is the Nashville Farmers Market. Anybody been over there yet? Oh, so good. Inside, 16 specialty restaurants. Incredible. No Chili's, no Chick-fil-A, no McDonald's. all local stuff, Asian, Greek, Jamaican, French, Italian. There's a great barbecue place. All local, yeah, very local. But, well, not that local, but all locally owned, and they're amazing too. And two of our favorites on the inside, Carrie's favorite, there's a guy inside that sells wine slushies. Oh, yes, all right, now guys, on the outside, today, and I know he's there tomorrow because I've already seen him, there's a guy out there that sets up an oven and makes little mini homemade donuts, and they come off the conveyor belt, plop into the powdered sugar. It's like little drops of sunshine on your tongue. You gotta go in there. They're amazing. You gotta go in there. Now on the outside, tomorrow, they'll be open tomorrow early. A lot of fruits and vegetables, a lot of our local crafts artists set up booths there. It's a really cool place, and it's also free parking. It's just an easy place to get in and out during the weekend. Now we've been talking about singers. There takes a lot of people to make up music. Nashville has 8,000 professional songwriters living here in town, most of it anywhere in the world. I'm one of those. So let's say I write a song tonight, I give it to my friend Dirk Bentley, Dirk records it, puts it on iTunes. You guys love it, and you say I'm gonna buy it. How much you pay, what, $1? I think 99 cents on iTunes, right? So how much do you think songwriters make out of that dollar? 0.3. 10 cents. 50% I wish. Oh, no. 4.5 cents per song. Now that would be okay because he sells a lot of records, but we do what's called co-writing. We write with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of our friends in a room. So we have to split that money amongst everybody. And that would still be okay, but let's be honest, we're all thieves. We don't buy our music anymore, right? Spotify, Pandora, we stream our music, right? Pay $10 a month, get as much as we want. I do it too, don't feel bad. So when we do that, we still get paid nowhere near as much. 1/10 of 1 penny every time it's downloaded. Split amongst me and my 5 best friends. Isn't that great? But it's okay because back in the day, who remembers when we used to have singer-songwriters? Dolly Parton, Fisk, yeah, Bob Dylan, people like that. Then somewhere along the way, that all changed. You have professional songwriters, professional singers. Go back and listen, you can tell. They're not singing there from their heart. Big difference. But we've gone back to that because they need to. So now we got people like Chris Young, Miranda Lambert, Luke Bryan, Chris Stapleton. All these artists are writing their own music, singing their own music, and you can tell a big difference, right? Huge difference. So we're excited about that. Kind of getting back to the old school. All right, now what makes a good song? Since I'm talking about songwriters, anybody know what makes a great song? Yeah, some of you can hear one time and then you sing it, right? You feel like you know it right away. This song has like 1 million lyrics, but somehow we all know this one, and you have to sing. It's like American tradition. Bye, bye, it's American pie. I drove my Chevy to the levee, but my levee was dry. Them good old boys are drinking whiskey and wine, singing, this will be the day that I die. This will be the day that I die. Oh, all right, that was a specific day in music history. What was it? Who said it? Yeah, you know everything. Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, Richie Valens died in a plane crash. He wrote the song about that. Now, we have our own little Nashville connection to that. So that night in South Dakota, the reason they got that plane was their bus froze up. Three on the right, so if you're out of the street, I want to reach out to everybody. So they decided they were going to rent an airplane. There was only 3 seats left. Buddy Bopper looked at his very best friend in the whole world, who was a guitar player. He said, listen, I'll make you a deal. Flip a coin. One of us goes on the plane and we'll be at a hotel in 2 hours. The other person's got to ride the bus with the band. They're going to freeze to death. They flipped a coin. Buddy Holly won. He looked at his friend and laughed. He said, I hope you guys all freeze to death on that bus. His buddy looked at him and said, I hope the plane crashes and you all die. Just, yeah. Guess who the guitar player was? Waylon Jennings. Oh, isn't that crazy? Don't ever flip a coin to get on a plane. Now, we're getting ready to come up. On your right, you're going to see this tall, big building. That's HCA building. Used to be, though, this building on the screen right here, the Modern Era Club. This was where all the legends played. Aretha Franklin, Nat King Cole, Chuck Berry, Ray Charles. But we even had a lady that we love here in Nashville. Who's ever heard of Etta James? Okay, what was Etta's big song? At Last. Now, 2008, they did a movie called Cadillac Records, starring Beyonce. She made her own version. She made her own version of At Last. Etta heard it. He knows what she said, what she said. She said, she ain't no Etta James. So look at this club. Right there that Starbucks is. That's where the club's at. Now, I'm not going to say who's better, Etta James or Beyonce, Etta James. But listen to this. She did a live recording in that building, 1963. Etta James Rocks the House. They want you to listen to them, but before you do, think of this. When Etta walked on stage that night, they hit record. When Etta walked off stage, they hit stop. That's it. No tuning, no editing. Now, if Beyonce or Justin Timberlake or Luke Combs, they go in the studio.
Parang pa ito yung papunta dun eh.
Take every word that sounds great, put it together, run it through a tuner like Frankenstein, right? Etta didn't have that. So when you listen to this, keep that in mind, and I think you'll agree.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the star of our show, and how about a great big round of applause for Miss Ella Jack.
James, right? She's amazing. Now, to show you her influence, who's heard of a guy named Chris Stapleton? Yes. What's Chris's biggest hit? Tennessee Whiskey. Now, if you know that song, that was originally recorded by George Jones all the way back in 1982, but it doesn't sound anything like Chris. Chris heard that song and said, the lyrics are great, the music's horrible. Get rid of the music. Found a song by Etta James called I'd Rather Go Blind. Took the music from one song, lyrics from another, put it together, made a whole other song. Now I'm gonna try to sing it. Nobody sings like Chris, but I'm gonna try. And you guys seem to have to hear that blues influence. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. Honey, I stay strong on your love all the time. Yeah, very different than how George Jones would have done it. Now, we were talking about rhythm and blues and funk, a little bit of spiritual, a little bit of country. We'll talk about country later. What kind of music have we not talked about? No, keep going. I heard it. Rock and roll. Who thinks Nashville had a rock scene? Nobody, right? But 1965, that highway we just crossed over, they put that in. And to build that, they had to go right through Jefferson Street. A lot of those clubs were actually torn down during that construction of that highway. So we lost a lot of great places. So for about 6 years, unless you were traditional country music, you had no place to play in Nashville. And when I say traditional, not Wayne Twitty, Loretta Lynn, not Johnny Cash, not Waylon Jennings, no way near Willie Nelson, stuff like that. And definitely not Etta James. In 1971, all of that changed. So I want you guys to listen to these bands, because they'll tell you about what they all have in common.
Keep your hands to yourself. It's the end of the world as we know
Okay, so look to your right. You're going to see a club here in about 10 seconds called the Exit In. It's opened in 1971. Major rock and roll hotspot for the South. Everybody you just heard, Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Ramones, REM, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Elton John, Billy Joel, Allman Brothers, Etta James, Muddy Waters. Everybody has played here. Dizzy Gillespie, B.B. King. Now look at that sign out front. You'll see 150 names of some of the bands that played there. On the inside, there's another sign with 350 more names. 5,000 artists that played here, including like Post Malone came here a couple months ago. Kid Rock plays here. Jack White plays here. They love it. One of the most important rock and roll stops in the country. Now look to your left though, real quick before you pull off. That's the end. That's a true rock and roll dive bar. It only seats 49 people. So keep this in mind. This trolley seats 49 people. We literally would pack that place out. But to play the Exit In, you have to play the end first. It's for up and coming bands, but not a bad place to get your start. REM, the Black Crowes, Jack White and the White Stripes all played there first. So can you imagine seeing the Black Crowes with 49 people? That's literally like being in your living room. That's amazing. Now a lot of people don't believe we have that big of rock and roll history. We have a ton of rock and rollers now live here. Kid Rock, Jack White, Kings of Leon, all the guys from Poison, all the guys from Journey. Tons of rock and rollers love here. Bret Michaels. Now, who's ever heard that guy just mentioned Jack White? Jack White and the White Stripes, yeah, Iggy Thumb, Seven Nation Army, a lot of big hits. Jack's kind of the Willy Wonka of rock and roll. He's out there. But when Jack moved here in 2009, he brought his record label with him, Third Man Records. Now, I don't normally recommend a lot of places because there's a million things to do in Nashville. You want to go here tomorrow between 11 and 6. It's a record store novelty shop, but you can do something there you're never going to do anywhere else in the world unless you go to his store in London. So who's ever done one of those photo booths? You put $2 in, right? You get the little strip of pictures. If you go in Jack's place, you're going to see it here in a couple seconds. The very next picture, he's got a little booth. There it is. Nope, next one. Give him $20. He'll let you walk in that booth, shut the door. 2 minutes, 20 seconds, sing, talk, play the guitar, whatever you want to do. And when you're done, that little machine makes a real vinyl record. It spits it out in about 2 minutes. It's amazing. Now that guy walking out of that booth, that was Neil Young. Who's ever heard of him? Yeah. Neil went in there and did an entire album in that little booth. A lot of Weezer did an album there. We're talking lots of big artists. And when you're done, they'll give you an album. You can mail that. That machine was built in 1947. There's only 2 left in the world that work here at Jack's store in London. He owns both of them. So you gotta go definitely do that. Now, if you guys are around tomorrow, we've got the same trolley you can get on during the day. Hop on, hop up. 14 spots all over the city. Great way to see Nashville. You don't pay Uber, none of that's a lot cheaper than parking. And when we get back, I always recommend this. Anybody go on Old Smokies before we left? Yeah. Oh, you gotta go in. Great food and always have a live band at night. It's a fantastic place to hear music. But the best thing, and I know my man already did it back there, $10 whiskey tasting. 7 different whiskeys for $10. You can't beat it. Now, you figure out which one's your favorite. If you're really brave, for $20, 7 different whiskeys, 7 different moonshines. Oh, you won't remember which one's your favorite, or your name, or what city you're in, but you're gonna have a great time. Now we're getting ready to go in this park. Before I do, I'm gonna ask you guys a favor. For the rest of the tour, we're gonna start going through some neighborhoods. You'll see some trees. Try to keep your arms inside the trolley. I don't want any branches hitting you guys as we go by. But this park over here, this is Centennial Park, our oldest park. We've been using this since the 1790s for a lot of stuff. Most famously though, 1897, we had our Tennessee State Exposition 100th anniversary, kind of like a state fair, or World's Fair rather, and they did some cool stuff. They built full-size replicas of the pyramids of Egypt and a full-size replica of the Parthenon. Now they built those out of wood and plaster, thought they wouldn't last very long, but they loved, by the 1920s, that Parthenon was still there. Looked pretty bad. So our citizens loved it so much, they tore it down, rebuilt it, this time out of solid concrete. It's the only 1-to-1 full-size scale replica of the Parthenon in the world. And you might have saw on that screen, inside, there's a 42-foot tall statue of the goddess Athena, dipped in solid 24-karat gold. You guys went in there? It's amazing. You need to go in there. Notice how big she is. She's holding a statue. That statue in her hand is a full-size 6-foot tall person. That's crazy. Yeah.
6 foot.
What you got?
You
Okay.
see what I mean?
got you. Yeah, circle the other way. Good job, Carrie. Okay, so now this is a music tour. So I want to tell you something really cool about this park, and I'll be able to get you to see it here in a second. So we've got a thing in there. Now it doesn't look very fancy if you go over to this park. It's just a band show, or it's just a pavilion, like the hot dog pavilions you guys have your family reunions at. Oh. She's going now. Yeah, totally.
This is not meant to be done. Well, I didn't know it was going to be like that.
So, that little pavilion though, during the summer we call that the band shell. A lot of big concerts, Vince Gill, let's see, Amy Grant, Patsy Cline, Jim Reeves, Dixie Chicks, a lot of big artists, but rock and roll history. So in 1970, they invited an artist to sing on this little pavilion. I'll show you in a second. Who remembers this guy? Pretty woman, walking down the street, pretty woman, the kind of like, who is it? Yeah, Roy Orbison. So Roy was scheduled to perform here at the band shell. Now Roy, what's that? Thank you. So Roy always loved to showcase new artists. So he'd been hearing about this 20-year-old kid out of New Jersey. He said, now this kid had not had any attention. Nobody really knew who he was yet. So I called him and said, why don't you come to Nashville? Open for me. It'd be great exposure. Who do you think that kid was? Bruce Springsteen, the boss. So, oh yeah, they're having a dance under it. So check it out. So that's the pavilion. You can see it. That's where Bruce Springsteen opened for Roy. Now you can see how many people are there tonight. How many people you think showed up that night to hear Roy Orbison? 49. I like her. 49. That's pretty close. Very close. Anybody else? 1,000. Okay, 1,000 over there. There it is. You can see a really good view of it. 1,000 over here in this grass. 49 under the pavilion. And 47,850 of their closest friends at that park. 50,000 people came out to see Roy Orbison. They didn't know who this kid was, named, Bruce. But they later figured out who he was. Now when Bruce got inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on YouTube, watch that speech. He actually mentions that night under that pavilion. He says that was the first big opening I ever had. He said that was the night I decided that I was going to make my career in music. It just did something for him. So really, really cool. Little piece of rock and roll history there. Now, we were talking about songwriters earlier. Who's ever heard of one of my favorite songwriters, Dolly Parton? Yeah, Tennessee girl. So, Dolly has had a lot of big hits, but her two biggest hits by far, Jolene and I Will Always Love You. Now, when she wrote I Will Always Love You, she actually wrote that pitched it to Elvis. She said Elvis loved it. They called, said Elvis wants this song really bad, but Elvis has a rule. Any song that he records, he gets half the royalties. Oh, what do you think Dolly said? Hell no, so you're right. That's exactly her words. She said, ain't happening, that's my baby, I don't give up royalties. She said, but I cried for 2 weeks solid. Who doesn't? It's Elvis, right? You want Elvis to record your song. She said, I decided to hold on to it, take my chances. Who recorded that song? Whitney Houston. She said, before Whitney, I took all my money to the bank. After Whitney, I bought the bank. Big difference. She said those two songs, just two, over the lifetime, and they're still earning money. Those two songs have made Dolly $60 million. Whoa, good decision, Dolly. Yeah, Whitney had a lot to do with that. Now, what's even crazier is Dolly wrote both of those songs on the very same day. Oh, $60 million a Tuesday night. Have you guys ever had a Tuesday night that good at work? I promise you, if I ever have a Tuesday that good, there will be no work Wednesday ever again. All right, look to your left. Look at that view of the Parthenon. Isn't that beautiful? If you want to get a picture of that, we'll pause as long as we can.
I got 200 pictures of that already.
I thought it's what? I thought it's the brand.
You can see our Nashville city bird right there in the background. The crane. We've got a lot of those.
That's right.
You guys good? You got it? Awesome. Okay, now we were earlier, we were downtown at all those bars. Now, anybody know what a cover band is? What's a cover band? You got it. They play somebody else's hits. So downtown Nashville, I say it like this. downtown Nashville is where music is played. This side of town we're going to now, this is where music is made. Yep, songwriters, singers, publishing companies, record labels, studios, all that is on this side of town. This is kind of the more authentic side of Nashville. And I'm going to show you some really cool stuff. First place I'm going to take you to, though, anybody ever watch a TV show called Nashville? Anybody? 3 of you, that's why they canceled it. I liked it. It was great, but it didn't last very long. So on that show, though, she's going to know it. They went to a very famous place called Blue Bird Café, right? Blue Bird Café, the most famous songwriters cafe in all the world. Huge artists discovered there, and a lot of big songs discovered there. But because that show was so popular, you have to have a reservation 3 months in advance. It's crazy. Usually when the tickets go on sale, they sell out in 1 minute, that fast. Because they only seat about 80 people, that's why. But it's okay, we've got cooler places this side of town. I'm gonna show you guys. The very first place is gonna sound really, really weird. We're gonna turn this corner. You're gonna see it here in a second. It's the Holiday Inn. Now on the ground floor of this Holiday Inn, they have a restaurant called the Commodore Grill. Anybody know why it's called Commodore? Vanderbilt University. We're sitting right here on Vanderbilt campus now, and that's their mascot, the Commodores. So that restaurant every night from 8 to 11, so if you're looking for some place to go tonight, every night from 8 to 11 they have live music, live songwriters. And a lot of those songwriters, you may not know their name. You know anybody like Don Schlitt? No, but you know this song. You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold. Yeah, that. Or like Forever and Ever Amen, Randy Travis. When you say nothing at all, Alison Krauss. All those mega hits, he plays here all the time. And he tells you all those cool stories of how they wrote the song. So a lot of great songwriters. So that you can see the Holiday Inn. We're going to pass that in a second. Another cool place, when we get up here, you'll see a tan building with the red awnings. Right down the street from that, you'll see a place called The Local. It's a local hangout. A lot of songwriters love to play there. Great music. And both these places have free parking, no cover charge most nights. So you see The Local right there, the black building 2 doors down. And then look to your right. Here's going to be the Commodore Grill. And if you're trying to remember it, they got a very famous guitar pick logo right here on the sign. So that's going to be right here. Now I'm going to test you guys' age. I don't think you're going to remember this. You're not going to know this. But the rest of you might. Hold on, here we go. Anybody recognize this lady? I knew you would. I knew it. Oh. Speaking of the old.
We had a party the other night at Grinders Switch where I live at, and right in the middle of it, they started playing a game where they throw a circle in the middle of the circle, and the girl is staying in the middle of the circle, and the girl would either have to kiss it or say a fine. I made $11.34.
Okay, that's right. So for those of you who don't know, Benny Pearl was a comedian on the Grand Ole Opry for 50 years, and she was on a TV show called. You heard that? All right, go on YouTube. Look her up. She's great. We love her. She is hilarious. Now, when she came to town, her name was Sarah Ophelia Colley. 1947, that beautiful picture, she became Sarah Ophelia Colley Cannon. We know her as Sarah Cannon because she donated millions of dollars to all of our hospitals for breast cancer awareness centers. It's an amazing thing. Now, that beautiful photo, though, is actually taken right here on the left at that church, West End United Methodist Church. You can go in there, they'll let you take pictures, and a lot of our big country stars went there. Roy Acuff, let me think, Webb Pierce went there for a while, Loretta Lynn went there. So a lot of famous people went there. Now, I was talking about songwriters. We're going to go into, so I call it Songwriter Central. So songwriters love to do 2 things, write songs and... No, drink. Come on, y'all. It's Nashville, right? We have a drinking problem. So we're going to go from the churches to the bars. My dad would be so proud of that. We're going to go over here. Now, we need some good beer drinking songs. Get us in the mood. See if you guys recognize any of these. And you got tradition. Here we go. Could be doing wrong, don't do right. You don't care about what I just stay here and take my mind. Oh, who is it? Yeah, Willie. Is that you? Man, you're like a country gold mine. I like it. We're going out there. knows this one. Yellow sugar, you know that one. You don't know Baby Pearl. She was on top of stuff. She knows it. It gets sweeter with time. It might be a little dust on the bottle. Okay, here's one written here in Nashville, recorded out in LA. See if you guys remember this one. Give me the beat, Lord, and free my soul. Wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Now you know it's Give me the beat, Lord, and free my soul. Wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Sing with us. There you go. Yeah, give her a hand. She knows how to sing dance. All right, so this side of town, a lot of cool places. We're going to show you a few of those. Now, we were already over there. I saved you guys a ton of money. Instead of going to Athens, you guys went over to the Parthenon, right? Now, I'm saving you a ton of money. Don't go to China. Who's ever been to the Great Wall of China? Anybody? Okay, I'm saving you money. We call this the Great Wall of Whiskey. See, it's just as good. Remember me well. I'm saving you lots of money tonight.
Great Wall.
All right, now we come around here. The first place I'm going to show you on this street, we call it, or they call it, Kung Fu Saloon. Kung Fu Saloon is an Asian fusion restaurant. Live music every day. Great place to go. But the reason I love it, now who's ever had, you're not all from the South, who's ever had one of our Southern delicacies, fried pickles? Oh no, they're amazing. I know it sounds disgusting. They're really good, aren't they? But this place takes it to a whole nother level. They take their pickles, they dip them in ground up Captain Crunch cereal. So good. It's like redneck paradise in there. It's amazing. You gotta try it. But the reason we go on this street, Mondays and Thursdays, if you're here on Monday night, we have a bar coming up on the right. Now the first one, here's Kung Fu Saloon coming up after these shrubs. There it is. But 2 doors down, Slater's Bar and Grill. Mondays and Thursdays, they have a thing very legendary called the Whiskey Jam. It's where they give 3 up-and-coming artists a chance to break out. And they've had some big ones. Luke Bryan, Chris Young, Jason Isbell, Casey Musgrave. They've all broke out right here. Now, if you can't get in, they do get pretty busy on Monday and Thursday. If you can't go to Winners, where you go? Winners right next door. Yeah! Look at all those losers. But it's actually a really cool bar. That's where our locals hang out. See that parking lot? Luke Bryan loves doing pop-in shows there. He'll come out and sing for 400 or 500 people in that parking lot. Now, one of those guys that broke out there and still goes back there, who's ever heard of Luke Combs? Yeah, 8 straight #1 songs. He's killing it right now. Well, he came up there a while back. He wrote a song to sing it that night. Everybody loved it, of course. And his record label said, you better get to the studio really quick. It's gone viral. So he went in the studio immediately. See if you guys recognize this. Is a newer one. Beautiful, crazy, she can't help but amaze me. The way that she dances, ain't afraid to take chances. Wears her heart on the sleeve. Yeah, she's crazy. She's crazy, beautiful to me. Okay, so if you write a song like that, all those pennies add up very quickly. So we're getting ready to go into Music Row. Anybody heard of Music Row? Okay, Music Row, most famous place for music in all the world. 65% of all the music today touches these next 2 streets. Record labels, studios, songwriters, artist royalty companies, and most importantly, lawyers. They're over here too. But the first place I'm going to show you guys, so when you're a songwriter, you need somebody to go get those royalties for you. We can't do that. So this big company, first one you're going to see is called ASCAP. There's 3 of those. If you've ever looked at credits on an album, you've seen that. ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. There's 3 major ones. This first one, American Society of Composers, Authors, Publishers. They go around and get all that money for us. They do a good job. Last year, those 3 companies brought in $3 billion of revenue. That's crazy. $3 billion of revenue is actually more than 90% of the countries in the world's gross national product. That's a lot. They do a great job. So we're going to show you that one, but also the other two. And we turn the corner, you're also going to see right next door, another songwriter's friend is a publisher. Anybody know what a publisher does? No idea, me either. No, I'm just kidding. They help them. We write the song, we give it to our publisher. Our publisher is the one that goes knocking on everybody's door and says, people, listen to this. Try this, you'll love it. That's the people. Well, that one right there is Sony Music Group. Who's heard of Sony? Yes, Sony in this little tiny brown building right here. You're going to see it on your left. Thank you. On your left. Right now, that little building handles the entire catalog for the Beatles and Michael Jackson. They see a lot of pennies go through that building. So here's ASCAP. This next one, that brown building looks black, but it's brown. That's Sony. But now, if you guys are on the left, get your cameras out. You're not going to want to miss this. Most famous recording studio in the entire world is coming up. Yankee Stadium, house that Ruth built. This studio, house that Elvis built. RCA signed Elvis 1956. He wanted to record in Nashville, so they started building a studio. Coming up the intersection, you'll see it, RCA Studio B. Elvis recorded 242 of his hit songs in there, about everyone you ever know, along with Dolly Parton, Chet Atkins, Charlie Pride, Roy Orbison, you name it, they've recorded there. Aretha Franklin, they've all cut right in here. It's the most famous studio ever. They still record there. Jack White cut it out there about 3 months ago. And you can actually take a tour during the day. Now this is a busy spot right here. On the right, this beautiful white building, this is actually Curved Word, largest contemporary Christian record label in the world. King and Country, Diamond Rio, Lee Brice, Jason Kraut. Lots of big artists right there. And remember the name Mike Curb, I'll tell you about him later. But back on the left, RCA's main headquarters, RCA Studio A. Mostly their offices, but it's also where Dolly, Willie Nelson, Chet Atkins, Chris Stapleton cut an album there. A lot of big albums cut out of that building. Now, who's ever heard of a guy named Narvel Blackstock? Anybody? Oh, my man. This is Starstruck Entertainment. He owns that. But most famously, you know his ex-wife, Reba McEntire. That's Reba's management company, or was, till divorce. Not so much anymore. Now, on the right, those that remember that show, Hee Haw, that I was talking about, but you're going to see this white brick building coming up. That's WLAC. That's where they filmed Hee Haw. But today, that's actually where Bobby Bones does his radio show around there every day. Did you know that? Now on the right, I want to give you this. That's Flavor Music. They do online educational music. The reason I'm showing you all the different ones, a lot of these look like houses. They're not. Almost everything here is music related. The very first studio opened on this next street in 1954. Very quickly, all this became music related. And the city passed an ordinance several years ago to tear these buildings down. They're historic. So the next one to show you is my favorite building. Carrie's a rule breaker. We just went a different way. We just went off route because she knows I want to show you guys this building. So say thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Carrie. This is awesome. So I know this guy back here knows who this is. Who is that guy? Waylon Jennings, one of the Outlaws. So that's Waylon's recording studio and office. We're going to go up here. Now Waylon had a very famous logo. It's a flying W. It's on the side of this building. We're actually going to see it. Now, it's a weird place to put your logo on the side. But Waylon said in 1977, in this studio, having a great time recording a new album, the doors bust wide open, unexpected guest. The DEA had arrested everybody for possession. Right. He was not happy about it, so when he got out, he put his logo right on the spot where he was standing. Said, I'll remind him when they did that to me. And he wrote a song called Don't You Think This Outlaw Bit's Done Got Out of Hand, which is a fantastic song and tells the whole story. So you got to see it. So Waylon came out here, got a ladder, hung his logo up there. We're going to they've actually still kept it there. It's an insurance company now that insures all those artists on the road, the big tour buses. But that logo's still here. So you get a picture of that. And also, the front, you're going to see a screened-in patio. That was very famous, 70s and 80s on a good Monday or Tuesday. There's that logo. Look at it right there. It's still there.
What's logo?
Isn't that cool?
What logo?
And that patio right there, if you were around in the 70s and 80s and walked by here, very common, you'd see Waylon sitting out here with his best friend, Willie Nelson. That's where they wrote a lot of songs, drink a lot of beer, and well, you know what Willie does. Now, look to your left. I know this looks like a church. It is not. We have three kinds of studios here in Nashville. Vocal studios for singers, tracking studios for small bands. That is an orchestra studio in the motion picture, Oh Brother Where Art Thou with George Clooney. And they do all the video game soundtracks, Fortnite, Call of Duty, Madden football, everything recorded right there. So it shows you this is still, Nashville is the hottest place to record it. Now these look like houses. You'll see a lot of banners out there advertising what they do or celebrating an artist. So I'm going to play you guys a clip, just some of the music that's been recorded on these next two streets. There's Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Shake it loose and let it fall. Laying soft upon my skin, like the shadows on the wall.
Oh, who is it? Oh, guard, there we go. He's back.
And the beer chases my blues away.
What's that song called?
Friends in Low Places.
Yeah, Gar's opening a new bar downtown called Friends in Low Places. Yeah. Now that university, that's Belmont University, one of the top vocal academies in all the world. So who's Garth married to? Trisha Yearwood, Leanne Womack, Florida Georgia Line, Brad Paisley, Josh Turner, Minnie Pearl. All of them graduated from Belmont, plus many, many more. Now, once you look at his house on the right with that ramp right there, I'm going to tell you, don't ever make her fans mad. Now, coming up, this one here, a lot of people love this one. Big Loud Management, one of our best management companies in town. Morgan Wallen, Florida Georgia Line. Let's see who else they have. Jake Owens right now. A lot of big artists. Let's see, Haley Witters, I think they've got her now. A lot of big artists. And then directly across the street, very busy, it's very cool spot, is Smack Songs. Shane McAnally, 50 #1 songs out of this little place right here with his songwriters. Body Like a Back Road, Sam Hunt. Let's see, they had hits for Florida Georgia Line, Dierks Bentley, Jason Aldean, a lot of big hits. So what changed? Why did this all become music? 1954, we had two brothers, Owen and Harold Bradley. They bought that house on the right for $7,500. Put in that little Quonset hut on the left for another $7,500, and they built the very first studio ever in Nashville called the Quonset hut. They started recording for people like Patsy Cline, Walking After Midnight, Crazy, Sweet Dreams, Brenda Lee, Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. She was 13 years old when she cut that. What a voice. Also record for Johnny Cash. Lots of legendary artists. Well, that was 54. By 56, RCA already was trying to compete with that, so they moved to Nashville. By 62, Columbia bought the Quonset hut so they could have a studio here. Now by 1963, so we're only talking 9 years. In that 9-year period, Nashville had become so popular. 50% of all the music in the world was recorded on this street. That's a lot. Now, here we are on the right. Here's the original Quonset hut. When Columbia bought it, they needed more space, so instead of tearing it down, they built more around it. The original studio is still in there on the left-hand side. And Bob Dylan recorded Blonde on Blonde here. Aretha Franklin started her Respect album. A lot of huge albums. And who saw that movie, Johnny Cash, Walk the Line? Remember that scene where he says, I want to record in the prison, and they won't let him, and he argues? That meeting happened right over that blue sign. Now in the movie, they say it's New York City. It wasn't. It was right here. And I mentioned earlier, remember the name Mike Curb-Word Records. A few years ago, they were going to tear this building down. Mike said, you can't do that. That's our history. So he bought this building, and now the students at Belmont University learn how to record in the very first studio ever. How cool is that? And Mike leases it to him for $1 a year. Amazing. Now look to your left, that tan building right there, that's CMA, Country Music Association, and CSAC, second of our artists, songwriters, royalty companies. Now when we come through this intersection, look back to your right, that's BMG. A lot of you heard of that, one of the biggest record labels in the world. I mentioned I ran their Christian music division out of there for 4.5 years. Now coming up on the right, you probably heard of this one, Warner Music, Warner Brothers. Now they've got a young artist, you guys can help him out. I'm trying to give him a big start. This guy over here, what's his name? Blake Shelton. Is that you guys heard of him? Yeah. He records all of his albums here, as well as Randy Travis and many others. I mentioned Aretha Franklin. She's cut out here. Now look down this side street. The third of those big artist royalty companies, BMI. That's the biggest in the world, right here. And then directly across over here on the left. Now this is really cool. So this actually was called the Spence Manor. Back in the 60s when Elvis would come to town, this was a hotel. He would rent the entire top floor of this to stay. Elvis stayed here all the time. So when he stays here, everybody else wants to stay here. That's where the Beatles always stayed for a rental. Then look behind this fence, you can kind of see it. They've got an 81-foot guitar-shaped swimming pool in there. You can see it on the screen. Very rock and roll. Now who remembers that show Dukes of Hazzard? Remember Bo Duke, the blonde guy, John Schneider? He lives there. He's got a condo up there. See him around here quite a bit. He's a musician. Now these next two parts, this is very famous down here. Look to your left, you'll see that statue. That's Owen Bradley, the guy that founded Music Row, sitting at his piano with the sheet music to Crazy and Sweet Dreams. But, thanks Gary, but honestly, this intersection is way more famous for this statue right in front of us. So once you guys look at this statue, tell me what's the first thing you notice?
Tambourine.
They're naked. Yeah, they're not nude. They're not naked. Listen, we're in the South. They're not naked. They're naked. There is a difference. My granddaddy said it like this. He said, naked means you ain't got no clothes on. Naked means you ain't got no clothes on, but you're having fun. There is a big difference. They are definitely naked. Now, my daughter the other day, she had a 12-year-old, she said, Dad, you can't go down by music. I said, why not? She said, they're repairing that statue. One of them's got a crack in it. Oh, that's a good dad joke right there. Now we're gonna go around this circle again. Now I know you guys all came to sightseeing, but let's be honest. She wants a record deal. She already told me, next Carrie Underwood right here. So we're gonna sing. If you guys do really good, I'm getting her a record deal. I'm gonna call my buddies. Here we go. You know it. Well, shake it up, baby. Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout. Twist and shout. Come on, come on, come on, come on, baby, now. Come on and work it on out. Come on and work it on out. You know you look so good. You really got me going now. Just like I knew you would. Who recorded that? Anybody know? No, the Isley Brothers. Everybody says Beatles. But I'm gonna be honest, you know who I thought recorded this when I was a kid? Ferris Bueller. Oh, no, not Ferris. Okay, now we're coming down the street. Look at these clubs. So we call Nashville a non-paparazzi city. We have a ton of big celebrities live here. Nicole Kidman lives here all the time. Let's see, Carrie Underwood, of course, Ashley Judd. Beyonce just bought a place here. Justin Timberlake. Jimmy Fallon just bought a place outside of town. A lot of big celebrities. Why they keep moving here? Because when we see them here or in the grocery store, we don't get their autograph. We don't take their picture. Let them be people. That's why they love Nashville. Now, coming up at this intersection, I told you Elvis started recording at that studio in 57, but he actually came to Nashville in 56. RCA didn't have a studio built yet, so they had to rent one called Methodist Films. See the neon sign poking through that car dealership? That's where Elvis recorded his very first 3 #1 songs. All Shook Up, Hound Dog, and his very first #1 song, Heartbreak Hotel. Yeah, now, we've been talking about singers and songwriters. They're very important, but another person important in Nashville, producers. What's a producer do? Everything, yeah. They produce the album, pick the songs, do the arrangements, do the mix, everything. A lot of times they pay for it. So those songs were actually produced by a guy named Chet Atkins. Who's ever heard of him? Yep, most famous guitar player in all the world. But Chet also produced 35,000 songs for RCA, including Elvis. Now when he recorded that, he said, Elvis, I got an idea. I want to do something very different on this. You got to trust me. So Elvis did. Now I want you guys listen to it, but turn your producer's ears on. See if you can hear something that was so different for rock and roll in 1956. Okay, what made that different? The blues, yeah, no drums, upright bass, that feel, that was different. Second thing was that echo. It was actually recorded in the stairwell in the hallway, you get that sound. But the biggest difference, Chet Atkins said, Elvis, listen, when I talk to my wife and I really want to get her attention, listen to this. He said, when I want to get her attention, I don't yell at her, I lean in and whisper. It doesn't work. I've tried it, but it doesn't work. But it worked for Elvis. He said, normally songs start off really soft, they get really loud, right? He said, let's flip it around. Start off hot, come down really soft. Now, Elvis called that seductive singing. Some lady the other night, she just screamed out, that's just sexy. But it's Elvis. He can do whatever he wants to, right? So listen to that again. See if you hear April, 4 months later, that song had already sold 1 million records. That's a fast turnaround, yeah. It worked. Now look to your left, you see that beautiful train station. That was originally called Union Station, built 1900. Now they did a $15 million renovation a few years ago. Now it's one of our luxury hotels. It is gorgeous. They'll let you go in the foyer and go in there. It's a beautiful place to see. They also have live music in there called Grips on the Rails in their lobby. Really cool place. Now we're getting ready to come back in town. We'll be back in Smokies here in a few minutes. So I'm going to ask you guys to do me a favor. Most of you, when you came in, you got one of those green cards. If you didn't, there's some on the post. I'll be glad to give you one. All that is a Columbia card. It takes like 5 seconds to fill it out. Is Kerry doing a good job driving us around? Yeah, you saw the part. Things change every minute, so you got to be ready to go different ways. Good job, Kerry. So if you had a good job, my name is MC Matt, Music City Matt, and that's Kerry. If you had a bad time, write it down. Now, if you can, fill those out, drop those up here. I have a little guitar case tip hat. You can throw those in there. Drop in the mail anywhere in the country. Or you can scan that barcode on the I-10 right now. You can do that anywhere you want. So we'd love for you to do that. We always say that bosses, that green card lets the bosses know we're doing a good job. The other green stuff lets us know we're doing a good job. So we have that up there. Now we're getting ready to come back in town. We're going to do a couple more songs. See if you guys remember this one. You got to sing it with me. Carolina, spin on the road and pray to God. Now this art exhibit right here in front of me, this is actually Nashville's most expensive art exhibit. $782,000 to shove those electric poles in the ground, right? I told him, I said, for $1,000 I could use my backhoe and done that in 20 minutes. But oh well. But that's actually all those beautiful colors, though, are paying honor to our Native American indigenous tribes here that were here in Nashville long before us honky tonk guys got here. Now, if you're going out of town on 65, you'll see these big, beautiful bronze statues of buffalo. Anybody see that? Somebody said, why would you guys have that? Because Nashville, this area, during the 1850s and 1860s, was one of the largest reserves of buffalo in the entire United States. It was incredible. We were a fur trading community. Now we're getting ready to come back in downtown. We're going to sing one more song, but when we park back in there, if you guys have any questions on Nashville, things we didn't talk about, or things you want to see or do, things we didn't talk about it, we'll be up here. Carrie and I, we'd love to help answer any of those questions. Good place to eat, good bars to go, all that kind of stuff. I know the restaurants, Carrie knows the bar stuff. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Hey, we'll see you guys know this one as we come back in. Road again. I can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends. I can't wait to get on the road. Sing it like Willie. On the road again. Taking us places that they never been. Seeing faces I can't wait to see again. I can't wait to get on the road. Hey, thank you guys for coming to Nashville. Did you guys have a good time? Yeah. All right, on your way up, please make sure you use this rail. We don't want anybody falling on your way down. Thank you guys so much.